But I want to talk about the why, and I want to talk about first my why, and what led me here, and what led me to this room, and what's kind of served me along this path. Is it cool if I tell like a couple stories real quick before we get started to tie everything together? So first, I want to put up an embarrassing. Okay, yeah, there's the young kid with all his hair. I used to be obsessed with football back in the day. That was like the only thing that existed in my world. It was like football, 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 chase girls, football, football, football. And I'm sorry if you've heard this story before, but I got to tell it again because it'll maybe articulate why I'm here. This is the reason I'm a chiropractor. So my junior year, football obsessed, everything's going great. My life goal, dream, obsession is to get a scholarship and play college football. That's all I cared about. I didn't care about anything else. I didn't even know what my mom's birthday was. Like it was football, football, football. And one day, I was like working out, doing all this stuff and practicing, and I started having pain with like hip flexion. I was like, oh, that's kind of weird. It's kind of weird. Practice rolls around, I'll shake it out. Everything's good. I hit a breakaway. So I was a running back, hit a breakaway, and I start to like feel this hitch and this like little gallop, and I'm like, what the heck? That's weird. Like, what's going on? So we just played game one. Everything went well. I was on track. Wanted to get that scholarship. Needed like 1 million rushing yards and 1 million touchdowns to finally like get Michigan State to notice me. Didn't happen. But then this pain like kept persisting. I tried this. I tried that. Kept sticking around, and then. Eventually, like I played through the rest of the season. That was like game 2. So I played the rest of the season with this little like hitch in my step. My coaches called me the galloping ghost because like within the box, I had the shakes, but I had no breakaway speed because I would like hitch and try to like run, but then I'd get caught because I can't run. And so the season goes by. I go and see these orthos. I sit in the office for 2 hours. We all know that feeling. Like you're sitting there, it's cold, there's like shitty magazines everywhere, you're with your mom, and you finally like get a room. It's already been 1 hour, 20 minutes. Then you're there for another hour, 20 minutes, just like waiting. And that was before we had these things. So like you're forced to have a conversation with your mom. And I don't know, it's just like the weirdest experience. And somebody pops in and is like, oh yeah, you got hip tendonitis, you need to take ibuprofen 2 or 3 times a day for 6 weeks, no more working out, come back if it gets worse. And I'm like, okay. And then bye, gone. I'm like, okay. So then like some time goes by. That was at the end of the season. It's like, I guess I gotta sit around and wait, take ibuprofen. Like what am I gonna, I got no other choice. And I was in a small town, so I didn't know all of this stuff existed. And we ended up waiting it out. The thing didn't get better. So then we found an ortho to say, oh, this is the hip specialist in Michigan. I grew up in Michigan, by the way. This is the hip specialist in Michigan. He's the best. Everyone refers to him. He's like at the top research university. Everyone goes to him. All like surgeons were referring to this guy. And I was like, okay. I went. I got the MRI. I got the CT scan. They're like, oh, you got FAI. Cool. I was like, what's FAI? They're like, oh, well, it's this thing where your bone and your hip and your whatever, and they pinch on each other, and sometimes it's the shaft, and sometimes it's the socket, and you have both. And I was like, oh, okay, like what do I do about it? And they're like, you can't do anything about it. It's this hard, bony, blockage that no matter what you do, you'll never change. I was like, oh, okay, so. You guys remember what I cared about at the time. So what about football next year? Like it's my senior year. I haven't got that scholarship yet. I got to play in college. And this ortho, the guy, the number one dude that everyone like feared and referred to. It's like, oh well, there's probably no football next year. And I was like, what? Like what? I couldn't even understand how that was possible. No football next year. Like, there's nothing beyond that. Yeah, I might as well jump off a bridge. And my mom drove me home. I'm like crying the whole time, like, oh, my life's over. And then he said, well, you don't have symptoms right now, so I need you to join the track team. I need you to run until your hip starts hurting you. Then your insurance will pay for the operation. I'm like, at the time, like looking back, I'm like, that makes no fucking sense. At the time, I was like, okay, yeah. Feared surgeon, everyone refers to you. Yeah, like, yeah, I'll do that. And one day, my mom, I'll never forget this. This is like probably the biggest moment of my life that led me to this point. I get home from school, I'm all depressed, coming back from track practice, trying to run and hurt my hip. And my mom comes up to me and she goes, so I don't think we're gonna try to get this surgery. I was like, Mom, like, what are you talking about? You're not a surgeon. Like, chill out, I need the surgery, that's the only way. And she goes, no, like, there's this chiropractor, we're gonna try him across the road and we're gonna see if it helps. And, you know, we'll just, you don't have pain right now, so let's just see if we can figure it out. And I was like, okay, whatever. Mom, you don't know anything. So she goes and takes me, and I finally, like, I go to this office and somebody sees me for more than just a hip. For once, it's more than just like on the computer, here's your hip, here's the ball, here's the socket, here's the shaft. And it's like, oh, okay, so like I actually have this thing called like a knee and an ankle and a foot and a core and a pelvis, and all these things connect and relate to one another. I didn't know that was a thing. And the number one guy that everyone referred to apparently didn't either. So then I went to this guy, and at the same time, he was a straight chiro, great guy, but he mainly just focused on like my pelvis and my hips. And I also went to like an Athletic Republic in Detroit, and there was another guy that looked at more of my function and said, okay, well, like, you suck here, here, and here. We're gonna fix those things. And while I was doing that and that at the same time, never had pain again. I played my senior year, and then I got a scholarship. Then I played in college at a small school. I wasn't that good. I played in college, and I was like, oh, sweet, sunshine and rainbows, like finally, yeah, I made it, I got there. And I think the big thing, like when I got to college and I was trying to figure out what the hell I was going to do with my life, you know, you guys remember the point in your life before when you were like a normal person? Like before you were like obsessed with like feet and hips and backs and necks and all this stuff? Like that point for me was college. And it was like a haze between football and tequila and more football and chasing girls. And like, that's all my life was. And then one day, I realized, like, I'm not that great at football. I was like riding the bench. My senior year, I carried around a clipboard with my shoulder pads, you know? And I realized, like, what am I gonna do with my life? I've developed this skill of being so obsessed with football and with, you know, this thing that I chased so hard, and I did everything to my own body to get better, to be, you know, have maybe a chance at being a better football player. And I was like, oh, am I just gonna like let all this go to waste? And then that's when I realized, hey, these two people back in Michigan did this thing for me. It changed my life. Now, for the rest of my life, I want to give that gift to someone else, right? I want to be able to give somebody that hope or that change in their function or whatever it is so that they can do what they love to do. So they don't feel like they have to jump off a bridge. So I can give them options. And I can say, well, it's not for sure, I don't know, but you could try this.